We're back with game 2, and it's David Cohen versus Ricky from Canada. This time Ricky is going to have the option to go first since he lost the first game. And David opens up with just a Mewtwo. Now that could be a good start, and that can also be a bad start. Ricky starts double Dynamo, so that's not too bad. He oaks, and right now he's probably hoping to get a Thundurus so he can turn him charge. The problem with a Mewtwo start is, yeah, you can potentially put early pressure on your opponent, but by attaching energy to your Mewtwo, you basically let your opponent drop their own Mewtwo and basically take 2 prizes off your Mewtwo for very little energy. For example, if David were to attach 2 energies to his Mewtwo, Ricky would only need a Mewtwo, a DCE, and a plus power to KO it, and that would be the end of that. But Ricky does get the Thundurus attached to an energy and just goes for the charge. Yeah, searches his deck a little bit just to make sure everything's in there. I definitely recommend you do that. During your first search of the deck, make sure certain things are not prized. That way you're not screwed later in the game when you look for it and you're like, wait a second, it's in my prizes. I'm kind of screwed now. So David's hand doesn't look to be that great. He's got a Juniper, but it seems like a lot of his other cards are like supporters and just dead draws. But I did not see the collector that he had there, so he goes for collector. He grabs a Zekrom, a Dynamo, and I think a second Dynamo. I find it weird that he doesn't go for the Thundurus here. I'm guessing he doesn't have a switch, so he's going to be stuck using Mewtwo no matter what. So I don't really know what David could do here. He does have the switch, so I'm not really sure what he was thinking here. Maybe he just did not have the energy and he wanted to use the Zekrom kind of as a buffer so that Ricky's forced to attack into it so that David can revenge with outrage. But even then, Ricky can easily just catch a Dynamo or something. So I'm not really sure what he was thinking. But Ricky doesn't have the catcher. He does 80 to the Zekrom, and now David wants to try and get a DCE or something of that nature so that he can try and take out the Thundurus on Ricky's side of the field, or possibly even capture up a Dynamo or something of that nature. He level balls into a Eeltrick, and he goes for the Juniper. It appears that he discards an N, possibly a couple other supporters, I think, which is kind of risky because late game David could end up being running into a supporter drought. He gets the Thundurus and he gets another Dynamo. He drops onto the bench. I see a catcher in hand, but I don't think he has any way of getting the DCE so that he can attack with Zekrom. Yeah, he just attaches a regular energy and has to pass. So this is not looking very good for David. He really needs to get something going quick because Ricky is applying some pressure onto David. He switches into his Tyrogue. I guess he might want to Dynamotor onto his Thundurus, so he did that. But he draws an Eviolite and attaches it to Thundurus. That's pretty smart because now David can't one-shot his Thundurus with a Zekrom unless he has plus power. That actually ended up hurting me in a top 8 match that I had at Oregon, where my opponent played Eviolite and I didn't know what to do. So he catches up a Dynamo and KOs it with Tyrogue. Tyrogue just doing work there. David catches up one of Ricky's Dynamos and goes for this. Goes for the Oak. And so all David really needs to do here is get an energy so that he can KO his Dynamo with the Zekrom. I see a DCE in his hand, so that's good. However, David makes a pretty questionable play here, and he's going to get burned for it. So it takes a while to make his decision, but then he just decides to go for the Mewtwo, and he drops down another Dynamo so he can set up more Eeltricks, and he knocks out the Dynamo with Mewtwo and gets a prize. But now Ricky is able to drop his Mewtwo, a DC, and a plus power at ease, and he's able to revenge the Mewtwo. And then he ends before he does that, so now David might be in a tough situation depending on what he draws. No matter what, I think if they go into a Mewtwo war, it's pretty obvious that Ricky will win that war because he's ahead in prizes. And after this KO, it's going to be 3-5. So I don't really like David's odds here. He plays down Eeltrick and Dynamotors onto his Zekrom. So now he's sitting in there with a Zekrom with an Eviolite and a Thunderous with an Eviolite, and I honestly think that Ricky might have this game. It's crazy how one person can be so far ahead in one game and then the other person is so far ahead in the other game. Like, these mirror matches are pretty lame in that aspect. Most of the time it's kind of like this. One person draws well, the other person draws crappy, and it's kind of like a steamroll. However, when the games get good, they're actually pretty good. But like I said, most of them end up being Mewtwo Wars anyway, so it really is kind of a luck-based format in my opinion. If you draw the stuff you need, you'll win. If you draw the stuff you need off N, you can secure the game, or you might lose the game. So he catches up the Eel, and I think here he's got to go for the Outrage kill. At this point, David does not want to play another Mewtwo anytime soon, so by giving Ricky only non-EXs to revenge, or not to revenge, but to KO, he's not giving up Mewtwo prizes. So Ricky is just going to, I'm assuming, attack with Thunderous, because if it's a regular prize war without Mewtwo, Ricky still will probably win this because he's got attackers and he's got he's ahead in prizes. So he goes for the level ball and gets another Dynamo. That way he can set up another Electric despite losing that Electric to David last turn, his other Electric. And he might actually go for Tyro here instead. No, he doesn't. He's just using it as a free retreater. Makes sense. And he KOs his Zekrom. So now David, I guess he goes for the collect. No, he goes for Super Rod. That's right. And right here, David still is not safe. He needs to do one of the following. First of all, he needs to fully charge up that Zekrom. That means he needs an energy in hand. And I see the energy in hand, so that's good. But he also needs a plus power. But because of the Eviolite, he needs a plus power to KO that Thunderous. Or he needs a catcher to potentially KO the Thunderous. If he goes for the Mewtwo, he's going to lose because I know Ricky will probably have a counter Mewtwo to win. So going for Mewtwo is a bad idea. He he sits there a long time deciding if he wants to attach his Zekrom. He finally attaches, and he goes for the catcher, I'm assuming. He's going to capture the Dynamo again, and then go for the Juniper. And so this game, David still has a chance, I feel now. He's behind by one prize, but he's getting rid of Ricky's Electrics, so Ricky's not going to be able to charge up his Pokemon as easily. However, he's still got 3 attackers on the bench that have energy on them, so I just don't see how even killing the Electrics is going to help David. He's just too far behind at this point. He plays another Dynamo, I think. He's thinking about it, but honestly, he might as well play it, because if David can't kill it, he'll have another Electric on board, and that'll pretty much secure him the game if he can continue to charge up all his Pokemon. He ends up going for Collector, and to all the people that say Collector's dead late game, I think you're wrong, sir. Because Collector has been helping both of these players throughout the entire game, and it's even better with Super Rod, when you can just Super Rod 3 attackers back, and then Collector for those 3 attackers. I think people are underestimating the power of the power of Collector. So he brings up the Thunderous, and he goes for Sage. I think at this point he has to get a catcher, but even then he's not going to be able to KO any of Ricky's attackers. So he takes a while to think about it, and I want to say he doesn't have the catcher. He's really in a tough situation. I don't know what he could do here. I definitely wouldn't scoop quite yet, because it's not like there's 0 moves for David. Like, he can still potentially pull something off, and maybe even next turn he could pull off a game-breaking end, but that just doesn't seem likely to me, because Ricky's still got 2 attackers, or 3 attackers on the bench with energy, so even an N won't hurt him. So if I was David, I would probably actually scoop this game, just because there's no way that Ricky's not winning this. I guess David can try and stall out with Zekrom and hope that Ricky can't charge up his own Zekrom and plus power him for the win. But Ricky's Tyrogue's still asleep, so unless he has a switch, he can't do anything yet anyway. He does have the switch and he uses it. And he junk arms for the eel. And at this point, I think he needs to get a plus power to win. But he just scoops up. It's 1-1. Who do you think will win this one out? Find out in Game 3.